Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome to the Etiquette and Protocol channel. I'm Juliana Santiago, and in today's video, I'll share more about glasses. The suggestions sent by you. I selected a compilation of information here, picked out some types of glasses and cups so I can explain as much as I can in this video. In fact, this was a topic that you requested a lot here on the Etiquette and Protocol channel. I'm always keeping an eye on the comments, so whenever you have a topic suggestion or an idea for content that I can bring here, leave it in the comments. Leave your thoughts in the comments. We review them to cover the most relevant topics. Are you interested in different video formats here? So I selected some types of glasses and cups here exactly so we can explain and talk a little more about this topic. I think this video will be very enlightening because sometimes you want to set a table, a beautiful table, and you get confused about which glass to choose to create that table. Or when you're having friends over or having a drink at your place or someone else's and you just don't know, right? Which glass should you use for each type of drink? This video will help you. First, I'm going to talk a little about the water glass, about the glass you use to drink water. Well, non-alcoholic drinks like water, juice, and soda can be served in glasses or goblets, okay? So they can be made of glass or crystal. That's up to you. Usually we use a crystal water goblet when it's a more formal event. That doesn't mean you can't serve water in a crystal glass in a more informal situation. But usually, when it comes to more informal events, we serve water, juice, soda, or a non-alcoholic drink in glass goblets or glass cups. So I brought this glass here. It looks a little bit like it has a shape very similar to a wine glass, but it's actually a glass for serving water. It's made of glass, as you can see. We use this glass for water not because of its shape, but because it's colored. Usually the wine glass, both for white wine and red wine. Ideally, they should be transparent glasses. They can even be made of glass, but the best option is that they are made of clear crystal. So this glass here, whenever you have one like this, do you have any in your collection? It will be used to serve water, juice, or soda, okay? Ah, Juliana, but at my house, I don't have a glass like this. In my collection, I don't have this kind of item. How should I serve water to guests? Well, you can use a regular glass. It can be colored, like this blue one I have here, or it can be a clear one. You can use whatever glass you have at home. It will be used to serve water and also juice or soda. I brought this type of glass not to show you that it has to be this model, quite the opposite. It's actually to explain to you that this type of glass, it has a shape very similar to a wine glass, but it won't be used to serve wine because it's a colored glass. So when you serve your wine, you're going to use a glass like this one here. Usually wine glasses can be made of glass, but most of the time they're made of crystal. Nowadays, we can already find wine glasses at a good price, even in crystal. It's not something that's that expensive. You can take advantage of a good deal or promotion and even buy them online. There are lots of offers. I recommend it. If you enjoy wine, you should have a set of glasses like this. Sometimes they're sold individually, sometimes in a box of about 6, and I think it's an interesting item. For you who like to drink wine, whether it's when you're having friends over or meeting people at your house, it's for you. The entire wine experience is completely different. When you drink from a glass like this, which is a more suitable glass for the beverage, but if you don't have one, you can use a clear glass to serve wine, okay? If you don't have this one, don't want to buy it, don't want to have it in your collection, or don't drink often, you can use this clear glass. And then little by little, you'll organize your set of pieces, your set of items. To explain the glass, I chose this red wine glass from my collection. How do I know it's for red wine? Because it has this part, the larger bowl. So with this larger bowl, I can easily tell that this glass is a red wine glass. And this one here, which has a much smaller bowl, as you can see, it's a white wine glass. Why do they have this difference? Well, first, because red wine is a drink that you have at a more ambient temperature. So there's no need for you to drink quickly because otherwise the drink will get warm, you know? In Brazil, we usually drink all beverages cold, right? But usually with red wine, there's no need for you to drink it ice cold. Like white wine or rosé, which we usually drink cold, right? Traditionally, it's a drink that you already have more chilled, colder. So that's why the white wine glass and the rosé wine glass are smaller. Because here we have less space, we pour less drink, and then we enjoy the chilled drink at the temperature it should be consumed. So this doesn't apply to the red wine glass. There's no need for you to drink it a little faster because red wine is enjoyed at a more room temperature. So there's no restriction, okay? The same thing that applies to the crystal glass I mentioned earlier for red wine also applies to the crystal glass for white wine. So if you're someone who really likes white wine, who always enjoys drinking your wine, rosé, having a glass for this type of drink makes a big difference. If you don't have a white wine glass, if you don't have a glass for your wine rosé, you only have a red wine glass, keep using your red wine glass for now, okay? And then little by little, you can adjust your collection. I think the question of having many types of glasses really depends on your needs. Nowadays, we have a big limitation when it comes to space in our homes. Houses have less and less space for us to store things, and there are fewer cabinets. So there's no need for you to have a bunch of things that you don't use. So what I recommend is that you figure out what for you is really part of your lifestyle, right? A glass or a cup to serve water, juice, or soda is essential because usually we drink water all the time. When someone comes to our house, we always offer them a glass of water, or at least we should, right? So it's something I really recommend, but when it comes to alcoholic drink glasses like red wine glasses or white wine glasses, it's important for you to figure out what's interesting for you. Now I'm going to talk a little more about the champagne glass. I brought this model, which is a very well-known one, especially when we're making toasts, right? Toasts at weddings, toasts at parties. We always think of sparkling wine, right? Something like this style to be able to make the toast, okay? But an interesting fact is that it's not necessarily every time we're going to make a toast. It doesn't have to be with sparkling wine, or it doesn't have to be with wine or with an alcoholic drink. No. You can make a toast with whatever drink you have. So if you don't drink alcoholic beverages, there's no restriction on you proposing a toast for your guests just because you don't drink sparkling wine, for example, okay? That's completely just a rumor. There's no restriction about that. You can make a toast with whatever drink you have at home. Speaking of the sparkling wine glass, there are actually some different types of sparkling wine glasses. This one here is the flute glass, okay? But just like the red wine glass and the white wine glass, there are different models for each type of wine. Anyway, I just chose the standard glasses here to show you. And the glass we find the most common one we use to serve sparkling wine, it's this type of glass, which is this longer model as well. I told you about the glasses, these glasses that I showed you. They're the most basic options and often the ones we find on the table. Let's put it this way, when we set a table, drinks too, that also pair well with food, right? Usually we have red wine, which is traditionally a drink that pairs with several dishes. White wine too, and rosé wine is the same thing. And sparkling wine, as I mentioned, is often used for that toast moment. However, we live in a tropical country where we like to drink cocktails and where we like to drink beer. And this has a very strong influence on the cultural aspect of our country. Nowadays, the beer market has grown a lot, so we already have beers that pair well with dishes and so on. But as I said, traditionally, the drinks that will pair at a more formal event with the dishes will be wines in this case. As you could notice, the glasses I mentioned to you are more traditional glasses. Let's put it this way, usually when we go or notice, right? At a more formal dinner, these are drinks and glasses that are even already set on the table. On the dinner table, many times we see a wine glass there, which is usually paired with the dish that will be served. We see the white wine glass, which will also sometimes be paired with the fish that will be served or with another special dish. As I mentioned earlier, we have the sparkling wine glass, which is often presented during the toast. But we live in a country that is tropical, where we also have a strong and significant presence of beer. And many people are unsure about which type of glass to use to serve beer. Even though we have the strong presence of the American glass, which here in Belo Horizonte, I don't know if you're from Belo Horizonte, but this glass is called Lagoinha. here in Belo Horizonte, this glass ends up being very informal. So if you want to serve a beer or even set a table and add a beer glass, I recommend you go for a tulip glass or a big glass like this here, which can even be made of glass. It doesn't necessarily have to be crystal. We also have crystal glasses to serve beer. I have some in my collection. But I brought this model, which is actually from this São Paulo beer brand here, which is very common to see around, easily found for sale in the market. Sometimes we even get this type of glass as a gift, and it works really well for serving beer. It has a touch that's even a bit more sophisticated, a bit more elegant than the traditional American glass. And just like wines and sparkling wines, which have different types of glasses, we also have different types of beer glasses. So having a tulip-shaped glass or a glass like this makes a difference. Just like the wine glasses I showed you, the sparkling wine glass I showed you is a more general model. It will serve you in many different ways, so you can serve and welcome people in your home, use it more easily, and make it more useful for you in your daily life. Now, talking a little about how to hold the glasses, which is a question I always get, I'm going to show you here. Do you hold wine and champagne glasses the same way? So you're going to grab the stem, this part of the stem, and hold it here, okay? You can even touch your index finger to the base of the ball of the glass. This can give you a bit more stability, okay? But if you want, you can hold all your fingers on the stem. Ideally, your 4 fingers should be facing the person, right? And your thumb should be facing you. This way you can do what? Move around, and it gives you a certain level of safety. Many people like to hold it at the bottom, right here, but I personally don't recommend it. I don't recommend this to my students. Why? Sometimes you're at a wedding, you're at a party, and holding it with 4 fingers on the stem gives you a certain precision. You can move around at events and talk to people, right? Isn't there a risk of the glass tipping over? Why can't you hold the glass by the bowl on the upper part? First, because your hand will transfer heat to the glass and change the temperature of the drink, right? It's a drink that you need to have at a certain temperature, and your hand will transfer your body heat to it. Another thing is that it can leave fingerprints, right? Especially crystal glasses, they pick up fingerprints very easily. So it won't look elegant. It's best to hold it by the bottom. Just like I showed here with this champagne glass, you should hold the red wine glass and the white wine glass the same way. When it comes to the water glass and other glasses, many people have doubts. If it's a water glass like the one I showed at the beginning of the video, which has a longer stem, you can also hold it by the stem because it has a long stem. In the case of regular glasses, you should hold the middle of the glass with 4 fingers in front and your thumb at the back. Never raise your pinky finger. That's not elegant. So hold it this way to promote what? A sense of security. And every time you feel secure, naturally you end up promoting elegance in your movements. There, both to enjoy your drinks and to talk with people. I could talk for a long time about glasses, their types, topics, and usage. So, go ahead and leave your question here. If you have any doubts about this, I can come back and answer them for you. Only questions that come up from this video, because, glasses are really a topic I talk about a lot. If you don't follow me on my other channel, Vida de Casada, I've talked about this there too. But I decided to bring this content to you here, even as a way to clarify things. And for us to start talking about this kind of topic, which I love, here on Etiquette e Protocolo, also staying here. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.